Talk about something else that happened this week. Away from players, we want to talk about referees. We've got Peter with us. Peter, tell us what you made of this situation with Darren Drysdale this week, where he's appeared to sort of lean in and engage with one of the players. For a football fan like me, rather than a former player, I've watched football for years, wondering how you referees keep your cool as it is. What did you think of that moment?
Yeah, I think Darren will be disappointed in his reactions. As we know, he has been charged by the Football Association for improper conduct. And from a refereeing point of view, you should never get emotionally charged in a game. If you lose your emotions, Jake, you lose the control of the game. That's really, really important. And Darren, as a referee and an experienced referee, he should know a little bit better than to get involved in a personal tussle with a player.
Did you ever come close?
Well, many times I came close. I think the two guys who were with you there at the moment, I came close to both of them. I mean, Paul was just a terrier, so you left him alone. And Jermaine always had the last word, so you'd never enter a conversation with Jermaine. But there were a number of players who had come close. But one of the tricks of the trade I used to use was to grab a third party and talk to that third party and say to him, have a word with your mate. That way he used to cool me down, and he used to buy themselves time as well. But you do need to have tricks of the trade, really.
Well, you had to have the last word, did you, with the ref?
Listen, anyway, you've got to have an influence on the referee to get the results that you need. You do it. It's as simple as that. It's part of the game. This is what sometimes fans don't see. Like, that pressure that players put onto a referee. You come and play here, honestly, like, refs used to just cave left, right and centre. It was like...
Jermaine just tried to referee games. That's all he did. No, forgot about the playing, just referee games.
We had a game here against United.
And he still didn't win one.
We was 2-0 up here once, right, against United. How Webb gives away the worst penalty you've ever seen. Like, Carrick goes round Gomez, gives away a penalty, and they come back. I think Ronaldo scores a hat-trick, they end up beating us. And then he writes in his book about 5 years later, it was the worst mistake ever made. So, that's what happened here on a regular basis.
Still hurts, mate, doesn't it?
Well, when you're bringing up stats like I didn't beat United once in my whole career, yeah, it hurts.
We'd have found a way, Jermaine, don't worry, we'd have found a way.
Do either of you ever sort of think back to how you were with refs, though, and think, oh, why do we make their lives so difficult? Or is it just... No, definitely not.
As Jermaine said, it's part of the game. You try and have an influence. We had the manager who used to talk about referees in his press conference because he wanted to have a big influence on them. And as players, we did exactly the same.
And I'm interested to know from you, Peter, whether those sorts of moments from the players, whether they did influence you as a referee. Like, how often do you think that what went on a football field altered the decisions that you took?
Well... Look, I'm not going to sit here and say naively they didn't, because they do. But it's down to the strength of the character, it's down to the strength of that referee and the understanding of what's happening. The more experience I got, the more I realise that players are only befriending me for one thing, and that's to get the next decision in their favour. So you have to sort of balance it off a little bit. But it's about winning games. Of course it's about winning games. I accept that. But does it influence my decision? I can do nothing about the decision I've just made, but maybe it influences the next decision.
So when you retired and you carried on texting them and they never texted back, that's just horrible, isn't it?
That happened.
Yeah. All of a sudden, my Christmas cards went down from about 40 down to about 4. So.
But did you ever make a decision as a referee, maybe in the first half, go in at half-time, talk to your assistants and even it up in the second half? Because we, as football fans, we feel not you, but we feel refs do that.
Yeah, I think, look, the reality is you see many times that assistants to managers would stand in the tunnel at half-time and just to make sure, did you see that? Keep an eye on him. So they're sowing the seed already. So you're already under that pressure. And it's down, again, to the individual referee to make sure he takes it out of his mind. But, clearly it does affect individuals. It has affected me in the past, but you get used to it and more resilient towards it.
The bottom line is they know when they got something wrong.
And if they don't, you make sure they do?
Yeah, they know when they've made that bad decision. And then they even it up, usually.
All right, listen, Peter, thank you so much for your company. Really appreciate you hanging around. And you clearly loved that conversation.
Yeah, good evening.